In the 1960s, the first time that a spaceship orbited, I think it was the first time a manned spaceship orbited Earth. Sorry?
That's not just Sputnik, that's just Sputnik.
So, the Rebbe spoke about it by Farbrengen. On Shabbos, the Rebbe spoke about it. And the Rebbe learned to Hira, because everything you have to learn, everything that happens in this world, one of the major ideas of the Baal Shem Tov is that Hashgacha Pratis means that if I become aware of something, it's not by accident, it's not by mistake, whatever I become aware of, it's because there's a purpose to it, and it's meant to assist my Avodas Hashem. So what's the Hira that we learn from an airplane? Now, as we mentioned in the previous class, the Rebbe was an engineer, so the Rebbe understood these things. I'm going to repeat words, a lot of which I don't understand, but I'll tell you the gist of what the Rebbe said. He says there are two different types of aircraft. Lighter than air and heavier than air. Lighter than air is like a hot air balloon or a blimp also probably. Yeah. How do these things rise? Because they're lighter than air, so automatically they rise. The average airplane, not the average, all airplanes, however, are heavier than air. So how do they fly? Anyone who's ever flown an airplane can't help but sit and wonder, how is it, how is it possible that something that weighs several tons, and I'm sitting in it? How does it fly? What?
When the ship, the wing, it has, you're going very fast against the wind, and the air velocity, there's more pressure under the wind as opposed to the head.
Okay.
Therefore, it makes the plane buoyant.
Bernoulli's principle.
So the Rebbe said, I thought I don't understand what you're saying, and believe me, on several occasions I've asked people, how do airplanes fly? And people told me, oh sure, I'll explain it to you. And I sat and I listened, I never understood.
They copied the wing of a bird.
So how does a bird fly?
And that's how they understood, like what he...
The point is that it...
Whatever, it's a Langemeister, that's not worth it.
But can the airplane fly in outer space?
No, there's no air.
No, because there's no air. The point is that it uses the air as resistance, and it pushes itself off the air.
It's resistant against the gravity. It's not against the gravity.
Okay. Again, I am right now flying in an area where I don't understand. I'm just telling you what I read from the Rebbe Sikha. The big challenge when flying in outer space is that there is no air. So there's nothing to push off against. You can't rise above it, you can't float above it, because there's nothing what to float above. So you can't be like a hot air balloon. And you can't also push off it. Can't push off it because there's nothing what to push off. In order to fly in outer space, they had to come up with a new idea, which is a rocket engine, which means that it itself has to create its own pressure off which it pushes off. It has to create its own. There's nothing around it which can move it forward, but it itself has to internally. It has to create that pressure which it pushes off. Would that be correct description? Okay. So the Rebbe says like this. This is a metaphor for the avodah of the tzaddik versus the avodah of other people, like the people beneath that state. He says, us, how do we, what's our avodah in life? It's to fly. But how do we fly? By using the resistance that there is. Whenever we have a desire to do an avera, we don't. We push ourselves higher. We use our bechira chavshis, that ear, and we fly higher.
So you need the resistance to propel yourself.
But what about if there is no, you're in a place where there is no resistance?
No motion.
No you're a tzaddik. There's no resistance. What's your mission in life then? So then you become a rocket, the Rebbe says. Then you have to create your own internal resistance and use that to fly higher. In other words, your avodah then is just to fly higher and higher and create within yourself that energy, even though there is no resistance to push you higher. Now, what does that mean in practical terms? I don't know. But I think that's also obviously the question is, And the same question can be said when Mashiach comes. What's going to be our avodah when Mashiach comes? We all know we won't have a Yetzer Hara then. But the avodah Hashem will continue. The idea of going from one level to another level. Tzadikim ein lahem menucha alei be'elam haza alei be'elam haba. There is no menucha, but there is no Yetzer Hara. What it say? Also, the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibishter is going to take the Yetzer Hara, is going to shecht it. So but we're going to serve the Eibishter. So that's the avodah of tzadikim. So it's a whole different seder avodah of moving higher in levels, higher levels in kedusha. So that's
It's a different concept. You're saying in doing that.
It's a different avodah, totally different avodah. Moving higher and higher kedusha. For us, we move higher by way of the resistance, by way of the evil. We push off it. Every time we have a desire we don't want, we're pushing off and we're moving higher. And the tzaddik is avodah of reaching higher and higher in kedusha.